Hi everyone, it's Katie Crysdale here from Lakeview Aquatic Consultants. Welcome back to your weekly Aquatic Industry Insider. In this episode, I want to talk about just one article that crossed my desk this week, and it's an unfortunate incident. It was the charges laid in a case that occurred in January of 2023. And I thought it was worth sharing because it is less of a common occurrence here in Canada, but it really piggybacks off of a case that also happened in 2023 in the US that I think is also worth mentioning. This is a case from Petrolia, Ontario. A daycare owner gets house arrest after toddlers near drowning in backyard pool. This legal judgment came out a couple weeks ago, but it is in relation to a case that occurred in January of 2023. So from the article and then the photo, which is what I really want to highlight about this story, the woman who ran a home daycare in Petrolia, Ontario, where a toddler almost drowned falling into a backyard pool in the winter, has been sentenced to house arrest and other restrictions. Paula Manis, 51, pleaded guilty to criminal negligence causing bodily harm and was sentenced by a judge in Sarnia on Friday. This was a few weeks ago. Manis claimed responsibility for her actions that saw 20-month-old Waylon Saunders walk out her door on January 24th of 2023 and fall into an in-ground pool that was not fenced in. Photos submitted as evidence show snow and ice across the pool deck and deep icy water filling the plastic cover across the hole. Main reason I wanted to highlight this story, there is still often this belief in pool operations that we don't need to protect pools when they're not in use. So whether those basins are completely empty during a seasonal shutdown, whether those basins are being maintained during outside of operating season, there is this common practice, as you can see in this photo, of people not purchasing either proper fencing, renting fencing, covering the pool with a tight safety cover that can withstand a substantial amount of weight. It is a very common practice, unfortunately, still for people to do it themselves and use either tarpaulins or plastic sheeting, rocks, cinder blocks, heavy weights, sandbags, and they're more focused on protecting the liner of the swimming pool than the risk of drowning. Now, in this particular case, the child did survive. They do have ongoing medical care requirements, but it does appear that the colder water temperature did insulate their heart and lower their body temperature in such a way that prevented them from dying completely. We've seen this in a number of cases where children whose bodies are a bit more resilient than adults have benefited from these colder temperatures. But it's still terrible that this was a situation where the child wandered away from the unlicensed daycare. It did not have separate fencing around the backyard for the pool specifically. And so unsurprisingly, a child was curious, wandered outside, and then it describes further down in the article that for 3 hours, the toddler had no pulse and their body temperature had fallen from 32 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius. And so they were able to bring the child back to life, but unfortunately it does appear that he has some ongoing care. The daycare owner had told the parent originally, who was concerned about bringing her child to a pool, or rather bringing her child to a daycare with a pool. Manis, the homeowner, told her that the backyard door was so heavy that she wouldn't be able to open it. It was the mother's understanding there was no way a child could get into the backyard. But on the day that Waylon fell into the pool, Manis said that the back door had been propped open to air out the basement following a flood. A really terrible situation, but I don't see this happening a lot in Canada, so I really thought it was important to highlight. So this next article, I apologize, it's a bit hard to show you photos. All of the news websites now are using video, and I don't want to play somebody else's video in its entirety in this recording. But I do want to highlight that this was a case in San Jose, California, last October 2023. There were charges leveled against 2 daycare owners for unlicensed daycare, understaffed, where there were 2 children, 2 one-year-old children who wandered at the gate has been left propped open. I believe the original report was somebody had been watering their plants with a hose. Just a tragic incident where this understaffed, unlicensed daycare was not being operated properly in accordance with state inspections. Police were called to the scene for a welfare check just after 9 a.m. on Monday in October 2023. They were responding to a report that 3 children had fallen into the pool. 2 were in severe medical distress. All 3 were taken to hospital, where 2 girls were pronounced dead, and the third was cleared with non-life-threatening injuries. So the point of this article is not to hammer on the daycare owners. I'm sure they already feel horrible enough as it is, and they are undergoing court proceedings in different cases. Here in Canada, where the woman received house arrest, and in the United States, I don't know that there's been any updates on those particular cases, but really wanted to highlight that drowning can happen anywhere, anytime. Those of you in the aquatic industry with a lifeguard or water safety background probably already know about the layers of protection that we endeavor to create in a pool environment. And unfortunately, these are instances where the pool itself was not necessarily as protected as it could have been. Children are very curious. They will wander wherever they can in a moment's notice. In both of these instances, they were 1 to 2-year-old children, and it was a tragic consequence of these actions or inactions that were taken. Just a quick clip for this week. I wanted to talk about these daycare drownings. Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more of them, and I think it's really important for parents who are considering placing their child in a daycare that they really evaluate the safety plan in place to prevent access to a pool. If you have any comments, any feedback, please let me know in the comments below. Please like and share this video across social media. If you have anything else you'd like us to cover, please pop it in the comments below or send me an email at katie@lakeviewAquaticConsultants.com. Thanks so much and have a great day.